It's homecoming. How does that feel?
Wow, that's a question I've gotten a lot, and I says it just feels great. It feels good. It feels normal for me to be back in this uniform, back in this city, a city that I know, that I love, a police department that has been good to me, that has taught me everything really that I know about policing. So it's just an all-around good feeling to be back here.
And after 5 years in Raleigh as the chief there, talk about the experience of leading that department,
Mhm.
what you've learned and what you can apply here upon homecoming.
Sure. So I was in Raleigh as a chief for 3.5 years. It was a wonderful ride. I loved it. I went into Raleigh not knowing anyone. I did not know a single person in that police department. And over the course of that time, I got to learn everybody, to work with them. Being in Raleigh really taught me the importance of looking inwardly in a department because I didn't know anybody. So I had to learn them. I had to spend time with them and to really understand the issues that employees feel, the workload that they have to experience. I constantly was talking to them about that. I had to learn the community as well. And so I was out, and I had, one occasion where one of my officers in Raleigh said to me that, Chief, we see you in the community all the time. We know you're engaged in the community, but also too, we want to spend time with you within. And that really, like a light bulb went off in my head for that officer to tell me that. And I then began to really see the importance of spending time, making sure that we're listening to our employees. And so coming in back to Charlotte, that's a top priority. In fact, that is my number one priority, that we build morale, that we are concentrating on the wellness of our employees, that I'm spending time listening to them, that I see the work that they're doing. And so coming in, that is something that I'm going to pay very close attention to, spend a lot of time learning the department. In fact, part of my 100-day plan is to go to every unit, to go to every division within the department, meet employees, talk to them. Some will be people that I know, that I've known for several years, but others will be new people that I will be meeting in the department. But that is a top priority.
As chief, you're CEO basically of a department. And in those instances, you're not necessarily on the ground in places where patrol officers are usually found. Talk a little bit about being the CEO and the delegation of authority and what you're doing and what you hope to do to make CMPD better.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to tell you that you hit the nail on the head. As the CEO, you can't be in all places at all time. You can't do the work you want to do on the ground, right? I mean, you have to run the organization. And so delegation is a priority. You have to trust the people who work for you. And I have a great team around me. I'm really happy about that. And so I do have to delegate, and they take care of the day-to-day functions, if you will, so that I can concentrate on getting us the resources we need to be successful. And also, too, I can concentrate on making those, like I said before, reaching out to the community and making those connections. That is really important to me. Gaining that support from the community. But for me, I'm going to make sure that I focus on 3 areas. The top one being internally with the police department, looking at the needs, looking at the morale, but also too that we work as a community to mitigate the crime that is around us. We know that violent crime is something that's on top of mind for many people, so we're going to work to reduce that. And then also to, just building community. The relationships are key. There's no way, even if I had 5,000 officers, that would not be enough to police the city and meet all the needs of the city. We have to rely on the community to be our partners, to be able to do the work and to make sure that we keep this community safe. So community engagement and collaboration is a top priority of mine as well. So those 3 things is what I want to accomplish. One, that we look internally within the department. Also that we prevent, mitigate, reduce violent crime and disorder, and then that we build community.
Given the history of Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
there's never been a woman leading the department before you. There have been black folks. You're the first woman of any racial group. Talk a little bit about what that means as a woman to be in this position that had been, since its founding, an all boys club.
Right. I'll tell you, I am honored to be able to be a female in this position. It is a male dominated field. We understand that. And I know for many little girls who think that you can't be a police officer or you can't be a police chief or other women who are struggling to figure out in their workspace that's male dominated, can they advance? Can they do it? I'm here to tell you, yes, you can, and that it is commendable and it's an honor to be able to do it. But really, at the end of the day, gender, race, nationality, none of that matters when it comes to doing this kind of work. It is about making sure that our communities are safe. And whatever we have to do to have that happen is what we have to do. So I come into this position proud to be the first, but that is not the most important thing to me at all. It is about making sure that this community is completely safe, that if we have somebody that's on a fixed income, an elderly person, that they want to go out and walk the dog or just go for a stroll, that they feel safe doing that and that they are safe doing that. Or if we have children playing, that they can play in peace and not have to worry about getting shot at or shots being fired in their direction. Those things are so important to me. And as a chief, I really feel that it's my responsibility to make sure that this community is as safe as it can be.
Is law enforcement the thing that you always wanted to do, or did you arrive at that career choice in a different manner?
Yeah, I get that question all the time. And I tell people, no, I never thought I'd be a police officer. I mean, it was the farthest thing from my mind. I've shared before that, when I was in my senior year at UNCC, I needed some credits to graduate, just needed to take some classes. People suggested take CJ. Those are easy. I was like, oh, okay. And so that's what I did. And to my surprise, I just loved it. I was like, wow, this is like, you really get to serve, help people, be outdoors, do all these various things when you're a police officer. I said, I love that. That really aligns with who I am. And so I took one class and then I took another class and I'm like, this is pretty cool. And then I I went to a job fair. There was a CMPD recruiter there. She recruited me. I took the job. I really loved it. I came to CMPD, and then some years later, I went back and got my master's degree, and I got it in criminal justice. So it is really an honorable profession. I'm so glad that I did it, but it did start out this way for me. I thought I was going to be maybe a teacher, a professor, something like that, maybe even a lawyer is what I thought about. But once I got in the profession, 29 years later of doing this work, I'm still loving it.
Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily you choose the job chooses you. Sometimes.
Yeah, somewhat.
Mm-hmm. In terms of Charlotte and its growth, obviously the place is growing. You can hear in the background that there's stuff going on. When you are in a metropolitan area that is going through so much growth, crime is just a reality. It's going to happen. More people you have, more stuff is going to happen. Talk a little bit about that growth and how CMPD, in your estimation, should approach this moving forward, because given the political climate these days, people are talking about tough on crime as well as other things. And then there's also that shared history of the relationship between law enforcement and immigration communities and communities of color, period.
Yes. Thank you for saying what you said. Yes. Growing cities, metropolitan areas, you have good growth coming, but you're always going to have a criminal element that comes with it. We cannot avoid that with a city this size and the pace in which we are growing. We know we're going to have a criminal element. Our job is to try to mitigate it as much as possible, to reduce it as much as possible. And for Charlotte, when I've come back to this city and just seen the growth, all the housing going up, every time I look, I say, oh, that's more cars to be broken into. That's more apartments to be broken into and burglarized. So that's a reality. We just have to face it. But we tackle it not in a silo, not by ourselves, but we rely on our community to be eyes and ears and report information to us, but also to our other law enforcement and community partners. We just did an operation last week, and we're doing it again, Operation Safe Season, where we're bringing all our law enforcement partners together to help address crime in our uptown, to make sure that people feel safe there. And so I think that's the approach that I have taken in the past as an approach that has worked. When we work hand in hand with our partners, we see results. We've had our DA and our U.S. Attorney at the table, both of which saying when we identify who these violent offenders are, they're going to prosecute those cases as much as possible. So bringing everybody together, I think, is the recipe to ensure that we're able to really reduce the crime. But the reality is, and people have to realize this, even though it gets sensationalized quite a bit because of the political and other tenure that we're seeing in our city, is that there are going to be violent offenses. we want to mitigate it as much as possible.
And in terms of that community outreach, you talked about partnerships and collaboration. Talk a bit about getting out into neighborhoods and talking to neighborhood leaders, faith community, whoever, to be those eyes and ears and building that relationship. Because sometimes it ebbs and flows depending on who's in your seat.
Sure. So CMPD has historically been outstanding in doing that, getting out in the community. Our officers are visible. We have community coordinators that are plugged in with all aspects of our community, and they are there with them. Just last week, we partnered with our Latino community to do a gift giveaway, a Christmas giveaway kind of thing. And the number of people that were at that event from the community was just astonishing to me to see that. That is what we want. That is what we're going to continue to do. I am a community officer. I'm very, very outwardly facing, making sure that I'm embedded in the community, and I expect the whole department to do it. I'm very glad, coming back to CMPD, that that's our culture. That's what we've always done, and so we won't stop doing that. In fact, we're probably going to ratchet up even more, that we connect with the community.
In terms of your leadership style, there's the ones who are out there, and they're the CEO. There's a different type of leadership for A-type personalities, that kind of thing. Talk a little bit about your leadership style and how that will translate during your tenure with the department.
Yeah. So I believe in leadership, being a leader, being out front, being visible, leading by example. I would never ask my employees to do something I wouldn't do myself. One of the things, immediate changes I made when I came back to the department, those of us who were at the top, our deputy chiefs, we all wore white shirts, and I wore that when I was here before. I changed that. We're wearing a blue shirt, just like every other law enforcement, every other officer in this police department, to show that we are unified, that we're one department with one mission, one goal, and we're moving towards that goal. So it was important to me that we all look the same, so there's no really distinction, if you will, between us. My leadership style has always been that. I'm going to be out front. I'm going to be that person that knows that accountability starts with me at the top and it flows downward. I don't believe in just a management style kind of thing. You'll never hear me talk about that. I will always talk about being that leader that is out front.